The AH-64 Apache, U.S. Army most feared helicopter ever made. The U.S. Army has tons of high-level ammunition at its disposal. This ammunition has the U.S. ranked as one of the world's strongest militaries. But of all of these weapons, the AH-64 Apache is an aircraft that stands out as the most feared helicopter ever made by the Army. So in this video, we'll be taking you through everything you need to know about this super lethal helicopter, the AH-64 Apache. Let's get started. The AH-64 Apache is a twin turboshaft attack helicopter with a tailwheel type landing gear arrangement and a tandem cockpit for a crew of 2 used by the U.S. Army. We'll get back to all the specs and details soon, but you should remember that the AH-64 Apache is incredibly lethal and has very good firepower, performance, and range. Another of the standout features of these helicopters is their durability, given how long they've been in service. Quick history lesson for you. Back in 1972, there were plans for the AH-56 Cheyenne for the U.S. military. But these plans never quite saw the light of day. The Cheyenne was shut down in favor of projects like the U.S. Air Force A-10 Thunderbolt II and the Marine Corps' AV-8A Harrier. Now, the U.S. military definitely had different war aircrafts at the time, but the United States Army wanted 2 things in a new aircraft. First, it had to be an improvement over the AH-1 Cobra in terms of weaponry, performance, and range. Second, it had to play an anti-armor assault duty while still being under Army command. To this effect, the United States Army published a request for proposals, RFP, for the Advanced Attack Helicopter AAH program in November 1972. Call them extra, but less than a year later, in September 1973, the Army named the AAH one of its Big 5 most important projects. Many companies, including Bell, Boeing Vertol Grumman Team, Hughes, Lockheed, and Sikorsky, submitted proposals to head the project. Only Bell and Hughes Aircraft's Toolco Aircraft Division, later Hughes Helicopters, made the final shortlist, and eventually the Army selected Hughes AH-64A. If you had any previous knowledge of the AH-64, you'd know they're no longer Hughes products. That's because the change of ownership of the Hughes Company and years of development of this helicopter has seen the major manufacturers change. First was McDonnell Douglas between 1984 and 1997. Then Boeing Defense, Space and Security from then till date. Over the years and changes, though one thing has remained with the AH-64 is that they're still one of the most lethal aircrafts anywhere around the world. About 2,400 of them have been produced since the first flight of the AH-64 in September 1975 and the introduction to the U.S. Army service in April 1986. But guess what? Even other world power nations have been so terrified and in awe of these helicopters that they've gotten some for their military as well. Sure, the U.S. Army still remains the primary operator, but it is also the primary attack helicopter for the likes of Greece, Japan, Israel, the Netherlands, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates. To take things up a notch, even the United Kingdom obtained a license from the United States to build one of these bad boys. Only theirs is called the Augusta Westland Apache. So what makes the AH-64 Apache so badass that everyone wants to get their hands on one? This helicopter has a 4-blade main rotor and a 4-blade tail rotor and is operated by a crew of 2. The pilot sitting behind and above the co-pilot gunner in tandem. As much as they work together, the 2 crew members can not only fly the aircraft independently, but also perform methods of weapon engagements independently. The AH-64 is propelled by 2 General Electric T700 turboshaft engines, which are positioned high on either side of the fuselage. You should know, though, that the AH-64 has used various models of engines over the years. The British Apaches, for example, use engines from Rolls-Royce. We all know how the British like to be classy, but the US is really all about efficiency. That's why in 2004, they had General Electric Aviation produce more powerful T700 GE 701D engines rated at 1,500 kilowatts for AH-64Ds. Talking about efficiency, the Apaches are pretty efficient on the defense, with the crew compartment and rotor blades designed to sustain a hit from 23mm rounds. The helicopter's airframe has a compartment that uses a transparent blast shield between the pilot and gunner seats. This feature is put in place to ensure that in the event of a direct lethal hit, at least one of the crew members is guaranteed to survive. Pretty cool, right? The airframe also has about 2,500 pounds of protection and a fuel system that seals itself as a defense against ballistic projectiles. A tiny flaw might just be that the canopy and windows are unrated against ballistic threats. Still, it's a super aircraft for the defense and protection. But what's even more super is the damage the AH-64s can do. Let's just say you don't want to be caught in a crossfire with these copters without a full heads up of what you're getting into. Even with the heads up, very few armies have what it takes to take them on. The AH-64 can be used for numerous attack roles as close combat attack within its context. One of its standout revolutionary features is its helmet-mounted display, known as the Integrated Helmet and Display Sighting System, IHADSS. This feature means that either the pilot or the gunner can sort of link the helicopter's 30mm automatic M230 chain gun to their helmet. Oh yeah, it almost sounds like a sci-fi movie, only it's real. Once they slave the 33mm to their helmets, the gun tracks head movements to point where they look, so as they turn their heads with the helmet, it's guns blazing. That's not all though. The M230E1 can be fixed to a locked forward firing position or even controlled with the target acquisition and designation system, any way you like it. The more modern AH-64s, however, have the target acquisition and designation system replaced by Lockheed Martin's Arrowhead MTADS targeting system. The Apaches are also designed to operate either day or night and during adverse weather conditions. It's designed for frontline environments with various sensors and onboard avionics that allow optimum performance in any condition. These systems include the Target Acquisition and Designation Systems, TADS, Pilot Night Vision Systems, PNVS, Passive Infrared Countermeasures, GPS, and the IHADSS. What's more, Apaches equipped with longbows can locate up to 256 targets at the same time with a range of 50 kilometers. How crazy is that? AH-64s can also be equipped with the Ground Fire Acquisition System that can detect and target ground-based weapons fire sources in all light conditions and with a 120-degree visual field. That sounds really techy, but for the AH-64s, it's nothing much. It's basically just the GFAS 2 sensor pods working with the AH-64's other sensors and a thermographic camera to precisely locate muzzle flashes. We're pretty sure the AH-64s already sound as dangerous and lethal as they are, but there's more. Over the years, a number of upgrades have been made to the Apache helicopters to make them more effective than they already are. For example, in 2014, new targeting and surveillance sensors were revealed to be under development to provide high-resolution color imagery to crews and take the place of the older low-definition black and white imaging systems. 2 years later, Lockheed got the first contract for the upgrade, also aimed at giving the Arrowhead turret a wider field view. The U.S. Army has also adopted some Apaches for increased maritime performance. Yep, you heard that right. With several avionics and sensor improvements, extended range radar, software adaptations to handle maritime targets, and a few other tweaks, these bad boys can be in the water. This upgrade was done in 2014 to take part in some Pentagon affairs on the Pacific, but it's far from the first time Apaches are being used on the sea. In the 1980s, the United States Marine Corps and Navy examined options for naval models of the AH-64. The USMC spent a couple of weeks making evaluations and running shipboard operation tests, but they eventually had to stop due to a lack of funding. Although the Canadian Forces Maritime Command has also examined naval Apaches, only the UK have been able to successfully deploy their British Army Augusta-Westland Apaches for naval use. There are many more variants of the AH-64 Apaches besides those for naval use. There's the AH-64A, which is the original production attack helicopter, powered by two GE T700 turboshaft engines and equipped with the powerful 701C version. However, the U.S. Army has taken this model out of service since 2012. They've converted the AH-64As to another variant, AH-64Ds, with Boeing receiving a $136.8 million contract to remanufacture the last 16 AH-64As into the AH-64Ds in September 2012. What are these AH-64Ds all about then? These are the Apache longbow equipped with glass cockpits and advanced sensors. The most noticeable and effective of the upgrades to this variant are the AN/APG-78 longbow millimeter wave, fire control radar, FCR, target acquisition system, and the radar frequency interferometer housed in a dome located above the main rotor. Check this out. The AN/APG-78 upgrade makes the helicopter capable of tracking up to 128 targets all at the same time. Impressive, but it gets better. Out of these 128 targets, 16 can be engaged at once, and the whole attack can be initiated within 30 seconds. The AH-64Ds are probably the best variants out there because they can target detection while the helicopter is behind obstacles thanks to the Random's raised position, and have a radio modem integrated with sensor suite to allow data sharing with ground units and other Apaches. Japan also has a model based on this variant, the Apache AH-64 DJP, which can be equipped with the AIM-92 Stinger air-to-air missiles for self-defense. Other variants of the AH-64 in use include the AH-64E, formerly known as the AH-64D Block 3, the AH-64B, the AH-64C, and the export Apaches derived from these variants. You already know America doesn't quite get satisfied when it comes to weaponry, so don't be surprised to find out about the futuristic variants. These ones will definitely have the whole world watching when they get into service. There's the Compound Apache, which began testing in October 2018 and has a larger fixed wing and a pusher propeller to the Apache airframe to provide additional lift and thrust, respectively. Then there's the conceptual AH-64F that would have everything from greater speed to retractable landing gear, stub wings, and a tail rotor that can articulate 90 degrees to provide forward thrust. They are forecasted to replace the Apaches by 2040. Pretty sure you now see the AH-64 as America's most feared helicopter. What about this aircraft do you think makes it the most lethal? Let us know in the comments section. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and enjoy our other videos.